Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to another episode of Cities Skylines. And we are here looking at a very special build from none other than Brad Stanton, the wonderful Brad, founder of Stanton Island, mod friend. Thank you so much, Brad. So Brad has built Brad's Buns and Food Supply, which I have now imported into Auridon. And yeah, this was to make use of our bakery and our food factory, which were the only two remaining unique factories that I had not placed into Auridon. So thank you so much for this build, Brad. Like, I absolutely love it. Look at this building fusing. Oh, absolutely perfect. 100% stealing that. In fact, we might actually steal that for something in this episode coming up. Perfect little prop work as well here with the use of the crates and the warehouses. Of course, bobbed off car parking spaces. Thank you very much, Brad. Yeah, just absolutely love it. This little extension onto the back of the food factory here as well for this little delivery yard. Just perfect. And it fits into this space next to our oil industry and our power plant and the farm over this side absolutely perfectly. So really love that. So let's give shout outs to Brad in the comments, please, for this fantastic little mini guest build that we now have in Auridon. But for today, we are going to be doing a couple of little odd jobs because unfortunately this is going to be the penultimate episode of Auridon. Auridon really is quite big now, especially when we look over towards Cadbury as well. And there are a few things that I will come ahead and do in a stream very soon as well. We'll have one more live stream in Auridon and probably a couple of little Discord streams just to do little odd jobs here and there. But we have three things in particular that I want to address today. So the first one is the end of this F1 island. We're going to do something with that, these empty roads here. We are then going to come in and bring in our final suburb into this little space here just to fill out next to the farm and help that blend in. And then finally, I want to do something with this that was just plopped in. So we're going to create a very small little cargo rail yard here. It's not going to be anything particularly fancy. We've already got a rail yard in Auridon. So yeah, it's going to be a very small basic rail yard, but we need to sort this out because it just looks absolutely awful. So three jobs for today, so let's dive right in. So starting off with the F1 island over here. Now several of you actually suggested putting in an F1 team's headquarters into this space, which I really like the idea of. So that's what we're going to start off with over this side. Then I've got a unique building I want to place in over here, so we will come on to that as well. So the building actually that I really want to use for this is the airport headquarters. I just think it like kind of goes in quite nicely as a bit of an F1 building here. Of course, we've got tree collision on, so let's just remove these out for a second and we'll sort this all out. We do have a little issue with the terrain here as well, where it is very slopey going down towards the water. So I think what we'll do with this is we're just going to spin this around. We're going to sit it down here and we'll drop it down a little bit with move it, just so it's on a slightly lower level. So I feel like having views out onto the open water will be a really nice thing here. Let's just let's just clear out some more of the trees. I'm kind of like looking at this building and thinking which way should point out onto the water. But I think like from the road as well, having this pointy aspect to it would be quite nice. But I feel like the front of it should maybe point out towards the downtown even. So let's grab move it and we'll just hold Alt and spin it around. I'm thinking something like that would be quite nice sitting in there. So the front of it's pointing out over the amusement park movie studio onto the downtown there. And then we still get quite nice views from all around it. I think from the road we can see the spike a little bit more from this angle, so I quite like how that sits in. Let's go ahead and put this in here. Let's just raise it up a tiny bit. And we'll just grab our terraforming tools here and level the terrain out just a little bit around it. Okay, so then we're going to grab our road here and just start to bring it down into the complex. I'm thinking something like this would be good. And then we'll come straight out into the front of it and just draw ourselves a little road across the front here. And perhaps actually this road could be a tree with a median road. I think what we will do actually is extend it out the front here as well. Potentially coming all the way from the road there. And then we'll just move it on this slope just to slope it out a little bit from this point up to the junction into the back of Pit Stop Park there. I'll just slope those objects down and then we can actually just come in and smooth out this side a bit. I don't mind the rock texture on the other side. I think that looks quite cool actually. The fact now I'm looking at it, I'm not overly loving this road. So I think what we'll do actually is upgrade this to the suburban street there so people can park out the front. I think we'll do that all the way down. Just with the no markings as well, feels a little bit more natural there. Then we could add our own tree decoration in. And that then doesn't block the view of the front of this building down onto the downtown either. Then from here, what I'm going to do is actually bring out a car park down the side of this and a couple more buildings just to flesh out this complex a little bit. So we'll bring the road out down like that. And then I'm actually just going to literally go and directly steal Brad's wonderful fusing of these office assets. We did actually use these on the F1 track to create our start finish straight. I absolutely love these assets, but they work really, really nicely in this little block of 3 like this. I think that this would go well just to flesh out the back of this complex, like I said. So I think something like that. We're going to leave quite a bit of breathing room in between it for open park space and that sort of thing. Make it feel quite airy. Then we'll go ahead and add car parks into here. I think something like this will work quite nicely, but we just need to go ahead and use a bit of node controller on these just to tidy this up a little bit. It's not looking super neat and tidy at the moment. Perhaps we can kind of angle that a little bit. And same goes for this one. Can we bring this out any further? It's a little bit rough edged. And we obviously want to make sure that all of this is the same height. I think something like that is quite nice. And so we'll come in and do some detailing around this, but that's actually all the building assets I want to use for this. Like looking at the one next to Silverstone, it isn't massive and they've obviously got the track right there to do testing. So I don't feel like we need to add in a separate test track for them here. We'll obviously come in and add some car assets and some decorations and tree-lined open areas, but I'm going to keep most of this very, very open indeed. So there's lots of like open green space for the workers to come and sit on the grass and enjoy the cold Auridon sun. But we'll come back to that in a second because I just want to come on over to this side here. So I'm actually just going to bend this road round like this. We're not going to leave it like that because it looks awful. The asset that I would like to put in here is actually the Aviation Club, which I feel like would go quite well, like rich people and F1. And it just about fits in here quite nicely indeed. So let's go ahead and clear out all of those trees. And we want to keep it obviously quite open alongside the runway as well. So we can have a little bit of trees down by the coast there. But I really, really like how this runway comes out over this beach. We maybe need to make it just a tiny bit safer by just drawing this out just a little touch. And we can obviously then smooth off some of this terrain surface there. But let's just give them a little bit of breathing room down that side. And again, around this, I don't really want to do too much to it. I think what we could do is add in some prop planes and things like that over the other side for a bit of detailing. And obviously, definitely a little car park out the front here. Like that. And we could add in a little cafe or something like that to keep people entertained out the front. I was thinking maybe a little viewing platform over here for people as well. A little area where they can sort of watch the planes take off. So let's go ahead and actually detail up these 2 areas before we move on to the next section. Okay, so there we go. We have our F1 team headquarters and our Aviation Club in. And yeah, I really like how this looks. I haven't got a logo or anything for the F1 team, so we just called it Felt Tech. I feel like it's a technology company after all, really, isn't it? With all the tech that goes into the F1 cars, sort of. And we've, of course, put that logo on the front of the building there with a couple of F1 cars. Like I said, kept it very open, just some picnic benches dotted around, this little path going down the back. Tried to make the car park feel a little bit more natural. And yeah, just some kind of communal open space next to these offices as well, and then just a bit of brush tool to tidy up the surfaces around it. So not really too much in there. I've kept this view really nice and open out towards the downtown, so anyone kind of like in these offices in this corner block here has got a really, actually one of my favourite angles of the Auridon downtown, this side actually. Do like how that's turned out. And then if we go over to the Aviation Club, so I have just added in a little viewing platform here, so all those crazy plane fans can come here and watch. And it doesn't actually, it's not right in front of the runway, so it doesn't interrupt, but it is very close. And then as we come down, I've done a little bit of roundabout detailing, but nothing special there. We've just added in a bit of detailing around the car park, so little fences, benches, a couple of little eateries for people to stop and grab some food if they want to there. And then we come into the Aviation Club. And I've used one of the sub-buildings from it, so just this little section here to create some extra hangars on this side with some just prop planes and a prop helicopter in front of it and a little bit of brush tool to give it a nice surface there. I've actually restrained from using decals here because I thought this looked a little bit neater, and I thought rich people in an aviation club could probably pay to maintain their concrete. But yeah, overall pleased with how this sits into this space here, so that really does complete F1 Island over here. So coming on to the next build, we are going to be building out a suburb in this area. And what I do want to make sure is that we follow this path in underneath here and bring it across. I'm probably going to have some recreation fields, I think, here to kind of transition from that very rural style farm area into what will be a slightly denser suburb. And for this, so we've got Green Cities buildings over here, and I kind of thought a nice transition for that, and something we haven't really used in Auridon yet, would be the mid-century modern content creator pack housing. So I have been through and Find It and tagged up a load of them that I think are suitable for here, because a lot of them I don't really think fit into Auridon when they've got that massive palm trees, lots of swimming pools. It's probably not the most Auridon style suburb we could have, so I've kind of tried to go through and select ones that are a little bit more suitable for this area, I think. So let's just kick it off. We are going to want a school, because if we go to education as well, let's just overview what our education's like in Auridon. Primary schools are kind of on the edge. We're okay, but it's fine. High schools we're absolutely fine for. And universities, we've got far too many. So we really want a bit more elementary school education, I think, into this area. And again, one asset I have not used yet is, let's turn off the whiteness, is the Hearts of Korea large elementary school. Now, this may be a little bit overkill for this area, but I actually like the kind of green colours on it, the way that sits in next to the farm, and also the fact it's all kind of dirt out here with the football pitches and the little goals. I kind of like how it's going to sit, and I feel like it looks relatively modern, which is how we're going to build out this suburb here as well. So we'll definitely want that in there, and like I said, I think what I'll do is do a strip of commercial here with some recreation fields behind it. So let's just start by grabbing this path. Now we have got this one here. Now we've obviously put in our decals, so I'm actually just going to use the regular dirt path to go down to here. And then what we're going to do is tunnel it underneath this rail line. So I think we'll actually just come out straight like that. And then we will bring it back up to the surface, although that one doesn't tunnel, does it? Clearly. Okay, so with a lot of playing around, I have come up with this, which I think is just about acceptable. And yeah, we'll add in lots of detailing around this when we come to do it. So let's just have a little think about our high street down here and what commercial assets would be suitable for that. So we definitely want kind of low density ones. A gas station would be nice here, so we'll add that in. I think, yeah, a little cafe next to it doesn't go amiss. We want some sort of smaller, more local style shops. Could even have another gas station down the other end, a little bit of a rival gas wars, as it were. And let's actually start bringing out the connections into our suburb here too. So we'll turn snapping on for this, and we'll just bring out a connection there. And we are going to have, I think we will have a crossroads here and also another connection potentially opposite this cafe here. So let's just bring those out like that for now. Then we can add in the commercial around it. I think we'll have one of these, but again, like, we're just going to move it back because we're not zoning them in. We're not getting the car parking spaces in with them. So I am just going to add in a couple of our own here. So we have got these spaces, for example, like this. So I think we'll add in a couple at the front here, and we'll just need a bit of brush tool again to tidy that up. And we could also start mixing in some of the University Content Creator Pack buildings. Like a Shake It, I don't think would go too amiss in the middle of this either. Yeah, like that. Maybe a sky bar, and let's also not forget about post office here as well. Definitely want a post office, so let's drop that in on that corner. And we could also add a little bank too, which I think would probably be quite nice here. So let's just have a little look at that placement. I quite like that on the corner opposite the post office. And we'll just continue to find some more assets that fit into here. Yeah, I think like a coin laundry on the front here. This is going to be a relatively nice neighbourhood, but I think these style of low density buildings will really suit this area. So that's what we want to go for here. Let's just fill that in already. And of course we can have access out to the recreation grounds. We might actually even, might just undo this and then we can have a pathway out through here as well, because then people can cross across the junction and get into here. Let's go ahead and add that in, and we'll just draw it up around the side of the school like that. And then we'll come on to the recreation fields when we come to do the detailing. I think all in all, that will do for a nice local small high street here. So let's come on to the suburban road network. So we want to turn snapping on for this, and I want to kind of like mirror some of the lines that we see around the edge of the plot here with the main highway. We don't want to get too close to that, so I think we'll leave it at about that distance like that. And then we want to come on and do lots of little kind of suburbs off the top of that. So I think we are actually going to go for a flowy grid pattern for this. Kind of keep it like this and then round things off at the end here. So actually probably let's bring out a road like this, which is going to sweep round and connect to this other entrance here. And this can kind of come down the edge here against, yeah, against the rail lines that side. So that can form that end of the grid, and let's flow that across. And then we'll start to do some connectors. Again, I'm using freeform for this because I don't want rigid grids. I want something that feels a little bit more natural. So that's why we'll use these, and we want to make sure that we're keeping different angles all the time as well. We'll have lots of green space in between these buildings. And we can bring some little cul-de-sacs off the end of that when we come to put in the housing too. So for example here we could bring this bit out the other side and then start to create a couple of little kind of bits off the end of it for our cul-de-sac. And of course we could use node controller here just to round this off nicely. We'll come into the stretch function, stretch that out a little bit, and then use network multi-tool just to add in a node as close as we can go, which isn't going to be hugely close now we've done it, and that just gives us a really nice end to the cul-de-sac there. We'll add one in here and again come in, use node controller on the stretch function. Now we've added that really nice and close, we'll get a very round end to it like that. So in terms of the houses, let's come on to here. So I have set up a tag which is final suburb, oh no. And we are going to use the randomization tool within Find It for this. So for me that's Control V, and we'll just go through and add in all of these houses. yeah, there we go. We got the houses in, and this looks terrible right now. So what we do want to do is come in and kind of make it look a lot more like this Green Cities area. So lots more trees around it. Maybe a bit of like gravel instead of some of the concrete in some places. But I don't mind that too much, but definitely filling in all of these spaces with trees so it sort of blends into the forests of Auridon and the farm over the other side as well. I did drop in a little dog park as well to keep them happy in the middle here. And I realise we don't have fire and police, but we do have them over here. And we do have some over here. So I think we're generally all right for that. And of course, we'll come in and draw in our recreation field down here and tidy up some of this commercial, like the back streets, a little bit of fencing, that sort of thing, just to tidy those up as well. But before we come on and do that, let's just talk a little bit about our cargo rail station design, because this looks awful right now. So let's start off by just fixing the tracks like that. And then what I am going to do is actually just draw in a little bit of a rail yard out this side. So we're actually just going to come in straight. And then we're going to repeat that as well. So we'll just mirror this line like this, just to give ourselves a couple of extra rows here. And then what I am going to do, and I could have done this with Network Multi-Tool and the parallel function, which would probably been easier, and that is how we did the other rail yard, but I'm just making it complicated for myself. We're just going to use Move It and shift these all up, but of course we'll get rid of those trees in a second as well. And I think actually we will make this just a little bit longer here. We'll just have them all coming into dead ends, and then what I would like to do is sweep this one up and round sort of into this end section here. So let's turn off snapping for this. We'll get the angle out. In fact, we'll just bring that straight for now, and then what we can do is join these up so that they are connected and look functional in that sense. But there we go. That should be absolutely fine there. Let's clear out the trees. So it's just going to be a small area like that. And now back over at the cargo yard, let's have a little think about road network design, because this again is literally terrible. so we don't want this. We're going to come in and use our one-way industrial roads for this, and I think, yeah, we will use the 2-unit roads. And we're going to bring out a segment so they can essentially drive around the complex here and then out onto the rail yard the other side over there. Now, there's a few assets I do want to add into this, which we will come on to, but let's just do this for now. We're going to create a nice sweeping corner like this. We'll upgrade this road as well, I think, to this 2-lane industrial road. And in fact, actually, let's do this all the way back to the road here, because that is an industrial entrance after all. And we'll change this one to the 2-way one. In fact, let's keep this as a 1 unit. And then what we'll do is bring this one round like that so that it kind of connects into the one-way system quite nicely. We'll just smooth that off, and we could do with a lot of node controller on this as well. I definitely don't want the crossings here. That feels way too pedestrianised for a big industrial small industrial cargo port. And then we're going to do a bit of aligning here too. So let's hold shift. We'll click on this point there and then this one and kind of align them up. And then same goes for here. So I'm going to align this to this one. So that feels a little bit smoother coming in from there. And then with node controller, let's come in here and we're just going to shift this green one over slightly. That makes a smoother connection there. Yeah, like that. So that is an awful lot better already. Let's just bring this one up so our road markings are slightly less broken, which is terribly annoying with these industrial roads. Okay, so then off this way, let's bring this out nice and straight so we can kind of bring access into the rail yard there. What I have missed in Auridon, and you will remember in the F1 track we put in a helicopter pad, and we also put one in actually at the airport, but I never put in a depot. I was going to put it into my cargo airport, and I actually just genuinely completely forgot about it. So that is what we're going to have here. So we're going to bring that out this side, and then we'll create some road access for it, just using our concrete roads for this, I think, because we can create a bit of a yard around it as well, because we want some warehouses down here. And actually, just thinking about that road network before we move on, let's definitely create a little segment here which brings them back around the loop, because we will certainly want that. Okay, so that should all make sense. I'm creating quite a nice loop now. We're going to do some detailing around this, of course, as well. Yeah, we do want the helicopter depot in, which I will connect up when it comes to the detailing time lapse. But then we'll also want some other bigger buildings around here. So I'm thinking warehouses would be the most appropriate for this. So we can definitely jot in a few of these, and I'm thinking some off the helicopter depot. So let's just shift this all back just a little bit there to give ourselves a little bit more room. Then we can place in this warehouse like this up next to the road. Potentially a warehouse yard in the other side wouldn't go amiss too. Or maybe just draw that slightly further back from the entrance road there to give ourselves a bit more breathing room. Now this is all going to be natural here, so we're actually not going to add too many assets into it, but there is one generic industry asset that obviously we have used before and goes really nicely with the cargo warehouse. But let's add in a couple of these, I think this side and also one down here. I think we'll do some prop extension on this side of it just to help that kind of blend in a little bit more. So that kind of gives us our overall structure. So I think it is now time to come in and detail up the suburb and also the cargo rail yard. So I'll go ahead and do that in a time lapse and I'll be right back. Okay, so first up, yes, we have our suburb in here, and like I said, I haven't really done much to this. I've had to move a few houses around, add in little bits of like brush tool to fill in because kind of some odd tearing in the concrete. But yeah, moved a couple of houses so it's spaced a little bit nicer, and then just added in lots of trees around it to make it feel quite natural, but I think it has a nice flow to it. I'm quite enjoying actually the mid-century content creator pack housing in here. It's definitely got like a very particular modern style vibe to it. And then just on the high street, yeah, we've added in little back routes for the commercial here with a bit of fencing up against it. But again, nothing too special. And then with the rec ground, we've added in our football field. I did actually make this a park area so that we could do this because this is a park asset. So people will actually come here, complete with our little like poled football goals. Little playground in the corner as well, and added in a bit of extra housing up here just to sort of line the recreation ground, which I thought was quite a nice touch. Yeah, that was pretty much it over there. And then if we come over to our train yard, I've used a lot of this gravel surface painter with undergrowth and some trees on it just to give a bit of a sort of natural overgrown effect to this area. A little bit dirty, still industrial. Added in a little generic industry building at the end here and made that its own little complex with a recycling centre and also an incinerator in there as well. A couple of little warehouses down the front here too. And the traffic has finally died down because down this end I added in lots of storage, but we will come to that. So I have just come in and added a car park for staff at the back here, which is connected by a path through to this section, so staff can get everywhere from parking there. And then coming on to our rail yard, yeah, lots of rail assets here. A scrap yard, which again, looking on Google Earth at various different inspiration, definitely seem to be pretty prevalent around these rail yards. A little bit of storage and some worker sims and yeah, some just machinery essentially and lorries to get stuff onto the trains here along with these little load-in bays. But yeah, quite like how this has turned out. I've tried to keep it pretty open. I didn't want to go overboard with this. I looked at a lot of rail yards and most of them are just open, dirty space. So I've tried to do that, but I couldn't help but add in a few little extra props along the way. So that does leave me with just a little bit of naming left to do. So I have actually called this district after one of our Patreons, Luna Orla. Thank you so much for being a top tier Patreon. I so appreciate all of your support. We've got Luna Rec Ground and Luna Orla Housing District over here. Thank you again so much for your support on that. And I hope you enjoyed the final suburb of Auridon. And if we come over here, you guys did vote in the poll on the channel for the name of the media centre, and the winner came out as ABC, the Auridon Broadcasting Company, which was named by Overcharged Egg. Thank you so much for that suggestion, and thank you to everyone that voted in that. There were some really good suggestions there. So yeah, we have now got in our little ABC area. And then the final thing was the cargo rail yard, and again I've named that after a top tier patron. Thank you so much, Tim, for all of your support, and here you go, you've got your little rail yard here. I'll zoom in so you can actually see the props. But for today that is going to be it, and like I said, this is the penultimate episode of Auridon. I'm getting quite sad already actually to say goodbye to it, but we do have one pretty special build which I know a lot of you have been asking for throughout the course of the series left to do in the final episode, so look out for that. If you have enjoyed this episode, likes, comments and shares are as always really appreciated and really help me as a creator to grow on YouTube. But that is all from me for now, so I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye.